Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. My Doctor Who revival rewatch continues, and I'm getting more and more obsessed with this character, his universe or their universe, and this show. I think it's remarkable as I continue my rewatch. So yesterday I rewatched the much controversial Hell Bent. Now at the time I was like most of you, this is outrageous. You know, he's taken the event, Stephen Moffat has taken the events of Face the Raven and basically taken away Clara's great sacrifice. I was very triggered at the time. Nearly the entirety of the fandom was very triggered with Stephen Moffat. But this is the difference between Stephen Moffat and other people who have worked on Doctor Who or run Doctor Who before. He has the cojones to do the thing he wants. It's clear that he had a master plan for season 9 of Doctor Who. Now, for me, season 9 of Doctor Who is probably one of his best, creatively invigorating seasons of Doctor Who. I have a lot of time for Stephen Moffat as a creative, especially on Doctor Who. I love his Jekyll miniseries, and Sherlock was genius. But some of the stuff he did on Doctor Who was absolutely sensational. I mean, you've got to give Moffat, kudos for the cojones on the man. You know, he told us the Face the Raven story where the Doctor's companion makes this great sacrifice and she dies. And then Heaven Sent is a sensational episode. Another episode I rewatched yesterday. It just gets better and better. If you haven't seen it, it's a one-hander with Peter Capaldi's Doctor being beamed somewhere else by a shielder in the previous episode. Now, clearly, a shielder was working with the Time Lords all along, which is this really isn't referred to. But he's basically it's all to do with the Doctor's last will and testament, because Time Lords have this thing called the confession dial. And so it's all to do with that. The confession dial takes him to this place. And all he has to do is confess and they'll let him go, because they want him to tell them about this creature, which is supposed to be half Time Lord and half Dalek. Now, that was a very interesting arc for the Doctor in season 9, and we really never got an answer for it. And at the time, I found that really frustrating as well. And I actually forgot that Moffat actually hints within this episode via a Shielder's dialogue to the Doctor that she has a theory that the Doctor may actually be half human, and that may be the answer to the season 9 arc. But she does give a couple of theories as well. Because obviously in the Doctor Who movie, a controversial thing happens that a lot of fans don't like. That it's hinted that the Doctor could be half human. Now, with Chris Chibnall's Timeless Child origin story for the Doctor, does this change things? Because apparently the Doctor is from another planet, from another universe. But could it be a version of Earth on another universe? Who knows? The Doctor could still be half human. But this is what I love about this magnificent character. He is a contradiction. He or they, or whoever's playing them, is a contradiction in terms. So there's a lot of mysterious elements around the Doctor's origins, and I want them to stay like that. I still think Chibnall should have expanded a little bit more on the Timeless Child story, because I find it intriguing, even though it triggers a lot of people. And also, the Ruth fugitive Doctor. He explained nothing. Again, he didn't really have to tell us everything, but he told us nothing about her in the end. And now she's just been dumped on Big Finish. No disrespect to Big Finish, because I buy Big Finish audios. I think they're great, and they really kept us going during the years without no live action Doctor Who on television. So I respect that. So originally, Hell Bent really triggered me, and I thought, what the fuck was the point in this episode? But you see, this is what I'm attempting to do via my rewatch. Watching Doctor Who, especially rewatching the controversial things without the noise. Because the internet noise can really make our minds for us. I was consuming the Who Addicts YouTube channel at the time, and they were criticising Moffat like every other video, and I was kind of falling for that opinion. They are more than entitled to their own opinion. But now rewatching Hellbent, I actually understand why Moffat did it. Stephen Moffat wrote Hellbent because it's the Doctor's story. Even though this is Clara's and the fantastic multi-talented Jenna Coleman's final episode, this is not about her. This is about the Doctor not liking endings and not being able to let go of Clara. Now, I forgot a lot of elements of this episode. I actually thought it was Clara's decision to wipe the Doctor's mind off her. But actually, if you actually analyse it a little bit deeply, the Doctor in the end, because originally he was going to wipe her mind of him. Because I find all of this very interesting, because I want to do some fan fiction about bringing Clara back and having my Doctor reunite with Clara and the Shielder. And I want to write a little mini-series with them travelling together as well. The theme I want to use for this spin-off really is a Shielder fighting against her immortality and Clara fighting against going to her death. So I think these are really strong, deep themes. Now, Stephen Moffat on Doctor Who Extra after the episode said, that's a story we will never tell. I would love to persuade Stephen that it is a story worth telling, and maybe me and him could write it together. I know it's never going to happen, but I'm a bit of a dreamer, right, and a Doctor Who obsessive, so why not? But anyway, yeah, so, you know, I'd like to apologise to Stephen Moffat. I didn't really realise what he was doing because, you know, Hellbent is such an off-the-cuff episode. You know, he's back on Gallifrey, the very thing he's been searching for since the day of the Doctor. He doesn't spend much time on there, but I misunderstood what Moffat was going for here. He knows in Heaven Sent, which I didn't realise, but he really knows where he's about to go. He knows he's going to Gallifrey. His only interest in going back to Gallifrey is to save his friend Clara Oswald, and he does. He uses the Time Lords to get Clara back, to save her life. She has one heartbeat. That's why he's there. It's actually a very interesting analysis on the Doctor. The Doctor loves people. The Doctor loves, you know, the friends that they've made all throughout, you know, the character's history since 1963. The Doctor takes people to their hearts. There's no question about that. And it just shows the mentality of the Doctor in this episode and how he can't let go. And I absolutely, rewatching this again, I think this is only the second or third time I've rewatched this episode. Now, whether or not this portrays Clara's sacrifice in Face the Raven is a discussion for another time. She's still dead. She still has to go back to her death, but she does get to live a little bit extra. She gets a bit of a bonus, if you like, travelling with a Shielder. And that would, as I say, that's something I would love to go back to and re-examine. So, no, I actually don't hate Hellbent anymore. I think what happens is when we initially watch an episode of Doctor Who, we're on the internet while we're watching it or after we're watching it, and sometimes our opinions can be moulded by other opinions. And I think this is why social media has destroyed the element of experiencing great entertainment and making our own minds up on it. But the truth of the matter is, even without the internet, at first, initially, I would have hated Hellbent, whatever. Now, the music's great, the performances are great, you know, Stephen Moffat's dialogue is great. It's not like he's doing anything wrong as a writer. It's about decision-making because Clara makes this great sacrifice. Now, Stephen will probably say, well, I didn't want to kill her. I wanted to be optimistic. I wanted to finish Clara's journey more optimistically. But the thing is, Stephen, you did kill her. And if you didn't want her to die, why kill her in the first place? And I think that's what some people are saying about this. Now, Heaven Sent just shows you how devastated the Doctor is about Clara. So I'm actually going to say now that I love I love Hellbent, and actually Face the Raven, Heaven Sent, and Hellbent, you know, is probably some of the best trilogy storytelling I've ever seen. It's absolutely a trilogy, and I think it's fantastic. And you know, what I would say about Face the Raven, and I said it on Twitter yesterday, I mean, I love Doomsday, but I just think Face the Raven is a much better exit. And yes, I'm going to say it for a much more superior companion with more depth. I think Jenna Coleman had the biggest challenge of any actor playing the companion ever. She was brought on to play a mystery box. I mean, I think we've discussed her before, but I'm a little bit obsessed with this character, so we're going to talk kind of and say a few kind of differences about the nuance that Moffat used. Jenna had a huge challenge, mystery box, but then when Capaldi came on, Capaldi didn't want, because of his age, for him and Jenna to be playing kind of this romantic thing. So he wanted to change things a little bit. So Moffat had to think again, and definitely Capaldi did have some creative kind of responsibilities on Doctor Who. He's a big Doctor Who fan. I do think sometimes him and Stephen disagreed on the way to go with Doctor Who and his Doctor. I think it was very open and refreshing kind of disagreements. I don't think it was toxic or anything, but I think even Peter admitted publicly they do disagree on the way to go with Doctor Who sometimes. And that's okay as long as you disagree in a constructive way. But Doctor Who is a passionate business. Stephen is a Doctor Who fan, still is, loves Doctor Who after 6 years of kind of all the different reactions from fans, the toxic and the positive. And Peter Capaldi, we know, is a great Doctor Who fan. A massive Doctor Who fan. And I think what Stephen did and the challenges he gave Jenna as an artist was phenomenal. I don't think any other companion has been through such a deep journey as Clara Oswald. And I just think that when she leaves, you do really miss her. She is very important to the Doctor. Now, the Doctor and Clara decide in Hell Bent they're just not good for each other because look at the depths of depravity the Doctor goes to, and he breaks his own rules to save her. He wants to bring her back from the edge of death. And I think that Clara understands this, but in the end, the Doctor makes the decision to not wipe her memory, but he knows he's going to wipe his own memory of her. Now, again, when I first viewed this, I found this all very, very frustrating. And I didn't even like the idea of Clara travelling around space and time with a shielder. But again, this is what life and storytelling and anything really that you experience in the world and in life is you take it a second glimpse. Many years later, don't forget, we're talking about what, 2015, 2014? We're talking about over 7 years ago, nearly 8 years ago. So I've changed. I've had so many different experiences within my life, and experiences mold us and evolve us into different and better people. And yeah, I can say now, and maybe you lot will be triggered about this, that I actually do like Hellbent, and I appreciate and I now understand what Stephen was trying to do. There still can be a discussion there that he does betray the sacrifice that Clara makes in Face the Raven, but he doesn't take that sacrifice away, and obviously he lessens the character's consequences by bringing her back. She doesn't necessarily want to be back, and it's a very interesting kind of dynamic with a shielder, and how would that work? And it was just literally a happily ever after, or not so happily ever after. Anyway, you look at it. For the Doctor, he can't be around Clara Oswald anymore. But I do feel that Clara was a sensational companion. And, I think that Moffat's writing was extraordinary for Clara. I don't think we've seen a companion go down these different directions. But, and the depth of writing for Jenna and for Clara shows you how wrong Chibnall was with literally doing nothing with his companions. His companions were literally just there. We didn't really get to know them enough. And considering that Mandip was there from the beginning to the end, we didn't take a deep dive with Yaz, really. We know that she really liked the Doctor. She was probably in love with the Doctor. But there was never a kind of character analysis. That's what I liked with Clara. There was a proper, character analysis. We saw her meet the Doctor as different versions in the Doctor's timeline because she got splintered in the Doctor's timeline. And I just think there was an analysis of this character. And by the time you finish Hellbent, you think, wow, what a wonderful journey this character has been on. And as good as the writing is, if Jenna wasn't as talented, this would never have happened. I personally would love to see Jenna back one day. Although, I'm also very, very careful and cautious about bringing people back for different reasons, because can you ever do it as well as you did it before? And, you know, I don't want to see Clara back without Stephen writing for Clara, because Stephen understands that character. So I think these are the things. We need to go on to new things, and Russell's running the show, of course. Now he will create new creatures, new stories. We've got a brand new formidable companion in Ruby Sunday, played by one of the greatest actors in the world, and you can take that to the bank. So finishing off, yes, I now appreciate what Stephen Moffat did with Hell Bent, but maybe we need another discussion about the sacrifice of Clara Oswald in Face the Raven. This has been Movies TV Mad with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection, and I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.